Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daily Bone Podcast. We're here to discuss all things crypto market. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to discuss the continued outpouring of support for Bitcoin across public figures and what this may mean for the rest of the year. We're going to check in on the latest on the Ethereum ETF, which is set to start trading live next week. And we're also going to discuss crypto price action. Last but not least, the latest on the presidential election on Polymarket, which is really, really juicy and I feel like has a chance to actually break out in a significant way into the mainstream. Want to let you guys know that today's show is brought to you in partnership with Tensor. Tensor is the leading Solana marketplace for pro traders. Tensor also supports creators, having paid the most royalties, get this, the most royalties out of any NFT marketplace in the last year. They are launching a streaming series today, and their first guest is our very own Easy. Easy, any insight you want to give us into this streaming series?
No, I'm just excited. They're going to be talking to people in the space, getting their stories, discussing kind of where they've been across crypto. So very excited to talk about the my first cycle, the 16 to 18 rally that we had, and losing all my money. So yeah, that was a fun journey. You know, nothing better than just having your face plastered next to "I lost $600,000." Yeah, like that'll definitely wake you up in the morning and certainly set the tone. But I'm excited.
I like their choice of picture of you too with the 600K.
I look cooked. I just look absolutely fried. Like nothing's going on. Like the lights are on, but no one's home. Very similar to the bank account in that moment. The lights were still on, but there was nothing in it.
That's hilarious, man. So that stream goes live at 12 p.m. Eastern time, so just under 3 hours from now. We're going to pin the link to the Twitter space. If you're listening on Twitter Spaces, you can see it there. Tune in later today. If you are watching on YouTube, you can check out Tensor's Twitter account. That's at Tensor_HQ, or Easy's. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be retweeting it and publishing it, or posting it, I should say, himself. So that's at Easy Eats Bodega. Yeah, before we dive into the weather report, Sig, how's it going?
Yeah, all good, man. Sorry, that picture of Isa is absolutely beautiful. Your eyes, I don't think I've ever seen you like that. Your eyes are just dead, like completely dead, nothing there. It's kind of like, you know, when Eminem he went onto drugs, that stage of his life, kind of feeling that.
Yeah, no, we went through similar situations. Yeah, we went through similar situations during that. I think mentally we were both in the same headspace, different time periods, but certainly same mental fortitude going on for sure. We both made it out the other side though, you know, like we're stronger today.
Exactly. It's good to know you in this era, man. But let's get into this weather report if it's good. We got July. Oh no, sorry, what's going on? But you've got to hit that music. It's Thursday. It's July 18. Looking over at the crypto roundup, they got that Bitcoin ETF inflow, so they've slowed down. They're dropping to 53 million, but still continue their 9-day green streak. Majors are about even on the day, with Bitcoin at 64,700, Ethereum at 3,450, and Solana at $159. The leading top 100 coin today is WIF, which is up 13% to 2.4 billion market cap. Over the past 24 hours, top 3 stories. Well, firstly, Indian crypto exchange WazX got hacked for 230 million this morning. Zach's XBT has been all over it. He completed an Arkham intelligence bounty and successfully identified the KYC deposit address of the hackers. Secondly, next up, the final Ethereum ETF S1s were filed. Final fee data was made public, with 5 firms opening at a whopping 0%, and Franklin Templeton coming in with the lowest post-waiver fee at 0.19%. And then lastly, Joe Biden has tested positive for COVID yesterday. Biden is reportedly, this is rumored, to be more receptive to dropping out, and the odds on Polymarket for him to do so have just jumped to 65%. Solana, meme coins, Karma, and Nosum are big gainers as well on the news. That is all for the weather report. It's a mixed bag, and it's back to you in the studio.
Okay, I'm going to place the bet on Polymarket at the end of the show with my own money. I'm going to have to get some ETH onto Polygon, if I'm not mistaken.
Just USDC.
USDC on Polygon.
Okay.
So you'll need Matic for the gas, USDC for the transactions.
Okay, I might have a little pudgy on fucking Polygon from
We'll track them all down, don't worry.
Thing. Okay, I got so many wallets, man. I was going through it this morning. I've been procrastinating, taking anyway.
Wait. So, Pio, you haven't taken your own trade advice that you gave everyone for free a week ago before the assassination attempt, because you gave it and I was like, it's got vibes. This trade is vibes. It's got like sometimes each of us say something and like when you've been on the show long enough, you just know it's right. I felt this was crispy last week, and then
What was
Trump
it at?
failed. Oh, I can't remember, but failed assassination on Trump basically changed everything. But now, because of the polling, things are looking very interesting. So karma is up. I still hold that token because you told us to do the karma one. I thought I was going to zero, but it still needs a bit of recovery. I'm not even in profit of that. But come on, Biden, just get ill so you can drop out.
Well, I mean, look, Mike Dudas had, wait, so it was what, 34%?
Yeah, it got all the way down to 34% yesterday, literally yesterday. But yes, last week when we were talking about it, it was at like right around this. It was like 60% chance. Now it's up to 65.
I mean, last night, that guy, Joe, he hosts a finance podcast. I actually met him one time with Nick. He was one of those guys, Joe Rosenthal. No, it's Joe something.
Yeah,
he was Weisenthal. He was tweeting out all of Nick's stuff. He had a tweet last night that was pretty good. He said, oh, it's really interesting that dollars are selling for 50 cents right now on Polymarket because the odds on Biden dropping out was 50 cents or whatever. Because he's basically implying like, oh, that's really interesting that that's a sure thing, but it's only being priced in at 50 cents. That's pretty weird, right? So that's, I mean, look, this is like, yeah, exactly. This one right here. Mike Dudas had a pretty good tweet too. He said that, them pulling Biden because of long COVID would be like the crescendo in this dark masterpiece, I think is what he said. I mean,
it's going to happen.
I agree. I completely
like
agree.
It's set up way too perfectly. Yesterday at 11 a.m., Biden said if there's an illness or medical reason he's willing to drop out. 4 hours later, he gets COVID. And then the videos dropped of him just like walking onto Air Force One with no mask and nobody else around him. Just like whatever. I was like, oh, this dude is done. Like when I say done, like he's just going to drop out. Like if you look at Polymarket too, Kamala Harris has higher odds to be president than Joe Biden right now. It's 17% to 16%. So the market's basically pricing it in.
Yeah,
I just need this thing to happen. Sorry, I just need this thing to happen in the next 24 hours because we have this running bet on by tomorrow whether or not he's going to drop out.
So it won't happen tomorrow.
Who's the bet with?
We made the bet. Remember last week when we were playing?
Every Friday we're doing the
our season. You're gonna lose that season regardless, Clemente. So it doesn't.
But
really
only
matter.
by a couple. If we do, it'll be by a couple of days, PO, literally by the skin of its teeth. But what's interesting is if you look at some of the latest polls that have been coming out, now it looks like it's not a given that Trump is going to win. So the polls are showing actually it's pretty much back to like 50-ish on whether the Democrats can win against the Republicans. So it's super interesting. Obviously, statistically it is a small percentage of the population, but still it is still statistically relevant. But I don't think that I think this is going to be a much closer call than people originally anticipated after the failed attempt.
I wonder if that probability is actually a result of them suggesting that he could get assassinated between now and then, rather than having the Democrats win. It's more of like, is this guy going to make it all the way to the election?
No, I don't think. I mean, I don't think they're pricing in another assassination attempt. I just think this is the fact that the failed attempt has not swung people as much as people thought over the weekend, and that's what these. They always do polling along the way, and these polls can change dramatically. But right now, what they're showing is that it's still a close call. So I mean, we'll see. I think Biden will definitely drop out. I mean, if it's tomorrow, it'll be amazing. But I think within the next 7 to 14 days, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, he's not going to drop out by tomorrow. Even if he does, Clemente's not going to win that season, so it doesn't matter.
I want him to because I voted yes with Clemente.
When is the Democratic National Convention? August 19th. He'll drop out by August 19th. 30 days.
Yeah.
30 days. I think that's like the date in the sand. Because if he does that, then it's a little, like they need to get somebody new in there that could actually make a strong case, get some clips on social from a new speaker that is competent, can start to shift the narrative a little bit, that can string a full sentence together. That's kind of what we want. And then I think they may have a fighting chance. But it's a little murky. Like I think other is at 7%. Gavin Newsom's about 3%. So those things are interesting.
Agreed. So look, we moving into the news coverage. We got a quick story here. So is this is an Indian crypto exchange? I'm not familiar. It's called Wazirx or something like that. WAZIRX. We got a little feedback on one of the mics. It got hacked to the tune of $230 million. So a pretty typical 9-figure hack of a major exchange that we see in crypto from time to time. This year, there's been an estimated $1.4 billion worth of crypto hacks. That's a 110% increase over 2023, but still below 2022's pace. 2022, I guess, had some really big numbers. We should be tweeting this out because this is pretty good stuff to tweet from the Bodaggos Entertainment account. I don't know if we've already tweeted it. As adoption increases, the question is, are these hacks going to become more and more commonplace? I don't know. I think over time, security gets better. It's wild to me that security is still in the spot that it is, but at the same time, it's really hard to secure this, the type of technology. Clemente, you wrote, it seems, or Ray wrote, it seems bonkers when you compare it to traditional finance. Imagine if random bank reports were that they lost millions of dollars due to security breaches. The thing is with like traditional finance, it's an older technology that was made before the internet existed. And so it's not this digitally native, internet native technology that's really easy to exploit. Like just as easy it is for me to send $1 million of Solana from here in the United States to a random ass country in Africa, like within 2 seconds or 10 seconds, however long it takes for a given transaction to go through on the Solana blockchain. That ease, that's a really positive thing that allows me to move a ton of money incredibly easy with no third party. That makes it just as easy to steal the money, right? So before we move on to the Ethereum ETF, is there any commentary from anybody on I don't know if you guys have heard of this exchange before. I wasn't aware of it, but
I have no idea what it is.
No, I've never heard of it. I'd actually be interested to know how much those bounties are, because Zach XBT, he's all over these. He's so good at being able to find these hackers' addresses. And I mean, the guy deserves the bounties after all. But I have never heard of this exchange at all. So yeah, we can move on.
Sounds good. So Ethereum ETFs expected to launch Tuesday of next week. Huge news. Clemente pointed out that the Bitcoin ETF inflows have been in the green 9 days in a row. Yesterday, a slow day at $50 million. Previous day was closer to 10x that, closer to $500 million, ladies and gentlemen. So the firms that have submitted their filings for the Ethereum ETFs have completed those filings. The fees have been finalized, with 5 firms actually opting to waive initial fees. So Van Eck's not going to have a fee. Bitwise isn't going to have a fee. Fidelity's not going to have a fee. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Clemente is pointing out the very high Grayscale Ethereum Trust 2.5% fee. It should also be noted, if you're watching on X platform video or on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see the on-screen graphic that Clemente has pulled up from James Seifert's tweet from yesterday afternoon, is that the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, that is a conversion. It's the conversion from the ETH Trust, which was a registered security that Grayscale has had for years. And that when Ram Alawalia of Lumina Wealth, a multi-time guest on this show, he was pointing out an opportunity that he took advantage of over the past couple of years, where there was an arbitrage opportunity with the ETH Trust, given the way it was structured. So this is a long-standing financial security that's been around, I think, for at least 4, 5, 6 years. And the reason that Grayscale fee is so high is because Grayscale has been in a challenging financial position since FTX went down and 3 Arrows went down, because of Grayscale's role, or excuse me, Genesis Lending, Grayscale's sister company's role as a counterparty to loans and lending practices that were happening with FTX, Gemini, and organizations like 3 Arrows Capital. As a result, they're keeping their fees high and putting their customers in a position to decide whether it makes sense to have a taxable event on the assets that they have to pull their liquidity out, or just keep the liquidity, keep their assets in the trust, in the ETF now, because they don't want to have that taxable event. So that's kind of what's going on there. It's pretty cool that there's no fees on the other ones. I feel like that's those organizations seeing the strength of all those organizations have Bitcoin ETFs, except maybe Van Eck, but I could be wrong. They might have it too.
No, Van Eck, I thought Van Eck had one.
So they probably do, yeah. So anyway,
quick question:
those
Grayscale, is that punk Barry Silbert?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I just have to make sure because everything he's done, dude, has just been piss poor. I think he actually resigned from Grayscale, if I recall correctly.
So he's the CEO of Digital Currency Group.
Yeah, DCG. But he was
which
a board
is the
member
parent company
for Grayscale. Okay, that makes sense.
You're thinking of Grayscale CEO Michael. I should know how to pronounce this name properly because it's a pretty common name. Sonnenschein. I do not think that's how you pronounce it. But this gentleman that I just shared this article from was the CEO of Grayscale, and he stepped down in May. This might be what you're thinking about.
Okay.
So this guy also went on Peter McCormick's podcast, What Bitcoin Did, and it was an in-person podcast. And Peter McCormick like really held his feet to the fire about the entire Grayscale thing. And he like to his face, like acted like there was no wrongdoing. And then he was forced to step down. And it's like, it's just funny how it works with that stuff. So anyway, as far as other details, and then we can kind of open this up for discussion. Franklin Templeton has the lowest fee after initial waivers at 0.19%. Grayscale is converting 10% of their existing ETH, security ETF into the new product. So about $1 billion worth. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I cannot wait to see the inflows. Any thoughts on this? Because this is the biggest news in crypto since the Bitcoin ETF, with the exception of maybe Trump's co-signment of Bitcoin, his appointment of JD Vance as his running mate, etc.
I don't know what to make of this. PO, I'm looking at we have the ETH ETF going live next week. We have Loomdart tweeting out various times he's an ETH bull, but he's been saying like this is being massively underpriced. Ethereum in the last 7 days being outperformed by Bitcoin and Solana by like, not a significant amount. So the reason why I bring this up is I'm basically today I have a little slot in my calendar, like basically take at least 50% of my ETH positions and just split it halfway between Bitcoin and Solana, because I don't know, I'm either mid-curving this, but if I just have way too much ETH exposure, now we have Vitalik doing like all of these political things. And I'm like, all right.
A mainstream liberal blockchain, dude. That's all ETH is. It's a mainstream liberal blockchain. All right. Clemente, what is your plan for Bitcoin and Sol if you swap the ETH to it? Like, what is your game plan here over the next?
Just
okay,
don't
for
touch
how long?
it. Like a year and a half at least, and the Bitcoin. But yeah.
So you want to hold Sol till the end of 25?
I just feel more comfortable with it than Ethereum. So
I'm just trying to understand your game plan here, because it's like certain things you should click less buttons, and this is one of those things.
So you
feel a
feel
little flexible on that timeline? No, God no.
Oh,
I hold zero liquid ETH.
Got it. Okay.
Like,
yeah, but either way, I don't know. I mean, do you still feel like it's going to be sell the news here on this ETH ETF that we'll see outflows once again?
No, I don't think like outflows of what? That's the thing that I think about. Like, outflows of what? Like, where are these outflows going to come from? The Bitcoin outflows can make sense because you still had some exposure to it where it made sense. Like, there was more liquidity on Bitcoin. There always is and always will be from traditional finance, even before the ETFs. There's significantly less on ETH, and this just opens up an avenue that's much easier for traditional finance to get involved in ETH, which is why I think the inflows outpace. There's not as much capital in it. The one thing I am slightly worried about is like when a Sol ETF gets approved, there's a massive premium on, I think it is Grayscale's Solana Trust, which is at like a $600 value. So like that could lead to outflows. Like that's one I'm like cautiously trying to figure out a little bit more because I don't fully get what that premium's in play for. But the ETH one, like I don't think we're gonna see huge outflows. I don't think the price action volatility shoots up. Like I think if anything, we slow grind up.
I think we actually follow what the Bitcoin, the Ethereum inflows will reflect the Bitcoin inflows. So when we see Bitcoin go up, inflows go up, we'll see the Ethereum also reflect that. What's interesting is that everyone, like the sentiment on Twitter seems to be that everyone's almost a little bit nervous about how this is going to go. But the funds which are launching are being so aggressive on pricing that it can only make sense that they've already gauged the appetite from their client base. They've reduced it to zero. We are going to see inflows on that. And I think the people who are most bearish on it is Twitter, but that doesn't reflect sort of the larger TradFi space as to where they're telling their clients to allocate. I think also as well, like we really need to be thinking longer term, like 12 to 24 to 36 months. There is no way that they launch these funds and then they just do zero. There has to be an appetite from their clients. So I understand like the sort of like the mid curvishness and the nervousness that people think that we might not see as strong inflows. I think we're going to see similar to Bitcoin. We might see a sell-off. So we see what we saw in Q1, but as Bitcoin goes up, as inflows going there, Ethereum will follow, especially if they keep these fees at 0%. It's an absolute no-brainer for clients to be parking their money there.
So stats just dropped like literally 3 minutes ago. 10 ETFs are set to launch next week, and most will be 0% fee for the first 6 to 12 months.
Well, so right now you can, them,
yeah, 5 with 0%, 0.12% for 2 of them, 0.25, and then 2.5% for Grayscale, which is wild.
We just went over this entire graphic before.
No, I know. But that's the other thing that I'm looking at here is the main thing we didn't talk about was the custodian, which is Coinbase, and that's like, I think I'm long Coinbase here. Like,
you should be.
And I think like consistently, like if I'm Clemente and I'm taking ETH out, I'd probably dump part of it into Coinbase, dude.
I love how you're buying at $250, even though we bought it at $60 a year ago. 60.
Go to the 5 year. Go to the 5 year.
Dude, I looked at my Robinhood the other day where I have a bunch of Coinbase stock. My average cost is like $6,000, and the bag, or excuse me, my investment is like $6,000, and the bag's like $28,000 or something. It's like, wow, that one went well.
I think this goes back to IPO prices, like this year.
No shit. I mean, it just depends on how high crypto in general goes. Coinbase is essentially an index of all of crypto, but with a cash flow business attached. Will Clemente, who is well known as an on-chain analyst for Bitcoin, he's a frequent guest on Anthony Pompliano's show. All he holds is Bitcoin and Coinbase, because like Coinbase is your crypto sector-wide index, and then Bitcoin's obviously Bitcoin. Clemente, it looks like you wanted to say something.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, he said he's been saying that the market's not pricing in all the money they make from Base. He's just saying the Base is printing them fees right now. Will Clemente. So yeah.
No, they are pricing it in because it's in their quarterly reports. I remember there was some staggering figures on how much Base is making them. Also as well, the 0% is so interesting because when the Bitcoin ETF came out, they had their original fees. I can't remember what they were, but it basically just became a race to zero. I remember like they were all undercutting each other, being like, it starts off at 5%. I'm just saying 5%, but it starts at 5%. And then another competitor was saying, we're going to launch at 3. Then the other competitor came out at 2. Then it was like 1.5. So all of them are just coming out and saying, right, we just go to 0. And it's like, who can gain the fastest market share? Because they're obviously seeing the mistakes that they made when the Bitcoin ETF was launched, and they don't want to repeat that again. And they want to get the clients who are already invested in Bitcoin to do the same for the Ethereum side, because that's obviously the easiest base to sell into, is to get the established clients to buy in. So for me, like, I can't see this being a bad event for the ETF inflows on the Ethereum side, at least.
Yeah, so a few things. I'm glad that we're talking about this, and the folks in the YouTube audience have some fantastic questions right now and some fantastic commentary. So really appreciate you guys for participating today, because this is really good. A couple of things. So Coinbase's market cap right now is only $61 billion. Think about that. The most established United States crypto exchange, the first like major publicly traded crypto company, has a market cap of $61 billion. Some of your bullshit meme coins from last cycle had like Doge had a higher market cap than this. SHIB almost touched this market cap last cycle. This is not a coin. This is an incredibly strong company, right? So people are weighing in saying the target for Coinbase could be $750 to $1,000. Well, $1,000
500 first. All right.
Sure, but 500 is only a 2x. That's $120 billion market cap. Why wouldn't it be able to get there?
I think it does. But like you also brought up a perfect example right now was the fact that it is a predicator for the wider crypto market. Crypto lags at any point. It's subject to more volatile price action and downward price action, especially post-election. So we'll see, because like there is, quote, like more execution risk, I guess you could say, from like a wider market standpoint. What's the most interesting to me though is I think they just shatter targets for every single earnings report right now.
Yeah.
Like their returns, their revenue is continuing to scale. The base thing's really interesting. Dude, they made $600,000 yesterday off of a commercial they dropped.
Yeah,
Mr. Miggles. You also got to look at that. Like, we could dive into that meme coin on Base, which is printing right now. But that's the thing, is like they have so many different verticals for revenue. And once this wallet goes live, like truly live, not just like you still have to log into Coinbase, you still have to use like an authenticator app to send money, and there's still too many steps. If they drop a standalone wallet that you can easily access for anybody to use versus kind of like these multiple steps it still has, like lower the friction, the fees they can make off of a wallet will surpass anything that they have on the exchange. Anything.
Yeah. So a couple things here. So Easy, you pointed out Base. There is no other publicly traded company with a product like Base. Think about that for a second.
Circle's not public, right?
No, not yet. It will go public.
That one's going to be really interesting because they make like $1 trillion fucking a year. Like the amount of money they make is disgusting.
Every crypto company going public is interesting.
Yeah, so we will be going public.
We're an entertainment company. We don't touch that level of shit.
God, no.
The print, like the real money print. But real quick, so every single crypto company going public is massively interesting. No other publicly traded company has any product that's like Base. The only one that could dream of it right now, you brought up Circle, not public yet. The only publicly traded company right now that could dream of it is actually MicroStrategy, but they're far off from like Bitcoin's a completely different animal, and it's going to take longer to develop the sort of industry of crypto on Bitcoin, so to speak. You saw the beginnings of it with ordinals and stuff. That stuff is completely insignificant compared to the broader, crypto side.
MicroStrategy also wasn't crypto native, right? They ended up pivoting into it. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so like that's a totally different beast.
Are you serious?
Dude, dead serious. I didn't dive into MicroStrategy literally at all until Michael Saylor started like bull posting Bitcoin. Like I didn't really understand what they did.
Yeah, so Michael Saylor just woke up one day in 2020 and figured out what Bitcoin was and started plowing all of the money on MicroStrategy's balance sheet into Bitcoin, and then started borrowing money to buy more Bitcoin with MicroStrategy in really clever ways. So it was just a software company, and it still is. It's business intelligence software.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And not even like, like old stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I truly had no idea. I was just like, oh, yeah, I know they just buy a bunch of Bitcoin. I got no idea what the hell they... Clemente, did you know what they did?
No.
There's no way Clemente knew. There's 0% chance that Clemente
gun to my head, I'm dead. Like, no clue.
Yeah, if you don't know what MicroStrategy does and you're in this space, then that just says it all. You're pretty blind. But real quick, so a couple comments here. We got Benny Flacco saying we're a nonprofit. I'm assuming that's a joke. I don't think he really believes
Clemente
that.
had like a 3-week period while you were not on the show where he decided to refer to us as a nonprofit. I kept telling him to stop. He didn't.
That's a weird joke. Then beyond that, real quick. So we got Generative 22 posting some really good comments about ETH, which we just chatted about. I don't know if these comments were lagging, like Generative 22 might have joined the show late, but just in case he didn't, he said, why do people think ETH, of course, the trust through Grayscale that holds Ethereum, why will it cause net outflows? If people are getting out of ETH, aren't they just moving into another ETF so the flows cancel each other out? I mean, nobody knows, but probably yes. And then, so like the Ethereum ETF is going to lead to more volume on ETH. Like there's no universe where suddenly having TradFi access to Ethereum leads to less volume. How is that even possible? That just doesn't make any sense. That's like opening a window and saying, I think there might be less air in here. It's like, no, dude, there's more air now. There's going to be more air. The second thing is a comment about, so I lost my train of thought for a second. So the second thing, about fees on the ETFs, the fees on the ETFs. So the reason you're seeing the low fees and the zero fees in some cases is the ETF game for TradFi is actually just a game of how many assets under management you have in the ETF. So they actually just want the volume and the amount of assets in the ETF to be as high as possible. Because when you just do some simple math, like that means that the fees go down over time. So for example, BlackRock, this is the all-time high for BlackRock fees. As that ETF has more and more Bitcoin in it or more and more Ethereum in it, think about it. They're going to be making more money overall, so they can actually lower fees. The game is to just attract capital. That's the game. And so these people with 0% fees are trying to attract as much capital as possible. Signal pointed out that it's going to be 1 year with 0% fees. Makes sense to me. So that means Fidelity can say, hey, we custody our own Ethereum, right? If you look at that, if you show that graphic one more time, Coinbase is custodying absolutely everything with the exception of Fidelity custodying it themselves. And then I think it was Van Eck, maybe. Van Eck is being custodied by Gemini. That's an interesting one. So in other words, Fidelity's saying, hey, 0% fee. We know how to do Ethereum. We know how to do Bitcoin. We're one of the only TradFi shops. In fact, the only TradFi shop that's custodying the asset ourselves. So you can trust us. And by the way, when we raise the fee in like a year or two, it'll be really small because we attracted so much capital. So that's how it works with this ETF game. And yesterday, Fred Krueger had Andrew Abacus on his show. Maybe Clemente can pull that up. I popped it in the private chat. I recommend listening to like most of Fred Krueger's stuff. It's actually like really fucking good stuff. And I'm going to start commenting on every single video, telling him to upload it as a podcast because he doesn't. He just uploads it as a video on X, and it sucks to listen to this like on the go since it's on X. But he had Andrew from Abacus on, which is a great follow. That's at AP_Abacus, and they talk about that stuff. And one comment that they had is like, look, Bitcoin for a very long time, like a half decade or more, the Bitcoin ETF is going to get most of the flows from traditional investors that are trying to buy into crypto. Because when a traditional investor says they want to get into crypto, it's so easy to understand Bitcoin and it's so safe compared to anything else. It is going to be a really hard / weird sell to get someone to buy the Ethereum ETF. Again, there's going to be flows. I'm not saying that it's going to be a bad thing to have an Ethereum ETF, but like what even, you can't even explain what Ethereum is. The people making Ethereum can't really explain what it is. And to a traditional investor that's trying to get exposure to crypto, the majority of their focus is going to be on Bitcoin for a really, really long time. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be a lot of flows into the Ethereum ETF, though. It will be a net positive for Ethereum, in my opinion. I don't really see a world where when you open the window, air doesn't come in. Sig, it looks like maybe you wanted to. Yeah.
No, I wanted to add there as well. Clemente, if you can bring up that tweet again with the table, but it is wild that Coinbase is custodying for so many of those funds, because I'm pretty sure it's the same for Bitcoin, that Coinbase is custodying for most of those names.
9 out of the 12.
And that's wild. Like in TradFi, you'd have something like Bank of New York Mellon. Obviously, I believe they're the largest custodian in the world. So, they would custody a lot of global clients. But Bank of New York Mellon is not the only custodian in the world. Like, you have plenty of players. The institutional risk on that Coinbase can hold. I mean, I'm sure Coinbase is doing a fantastic job. But what it demonstrates is just how early we are, that there's basically only one provider that these names can go to go, and they feel that, there's trust there and the security that they can custody the assets with them. Gemini, I mean, yeah, that's totally weird. But I mean, Fidelity have been in crypto probably like since, I think, 2013, 2014. Their CEO, Abby something, can't remember her name, but she is a Bitcoin bull. So I'm not surprised they're doing their own work there. But that is just to show you how early TradFi is. There's one custodian in the US doing the job for all those names. And I think in 36 months from now, the landscape will look entirely different. But Coinbase has a market advantage that no one else has in crypto in the US right now.
Think about Coinbase's business. So they have their traditional crypto exchange where they're I'm assuming the number one exchange in the United States, publicly traded, blah, 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 earning fees on every single transaction. They also have a monthly program where you can pay every single month for a reduction in fees, blah, blah, blah. Then they now have Base, which is absolutely printing money as a literal layer 2 blockchain that no other publicly traded company has any product even quasi similar to. Then they're custodying the Bitcoin ETF for like 9 of these organizations. We talked about the flows, ladies and gentlemen, 9 days in the green in a row with a $500 million a day being normal. Like how much, like think about what the fee structure must be like between Coinbase and BlackRock for that. Like, holy shit. Then you're talking about some of the proven product market fit infrastructure verticals for crypto, like a wallet, which now seems to be something that they're really, focused on and building out. What the fuck is next? I mean, really, there's going to be the Coinbase 100 index. That's not going to be for like 5 to 10 years, but there will be the Coinbase 100 with like the 100 most prominent crypto assets. I don't know if it's 100, like the Coinbase.
It probably won't be 100.
Whatever the
I'd
fuck
say
it
25.
is. Right.
Dude,
Yeah,
if you look at
whatever
the
the
top
fuck
100, it's like there's some garbage in there.
We're early, dude. Like, who knows what the fuck it's going to look like. But the point is, like, how good is this company, fucking Coinbase? And it's only at a $61 billion market cap. Like, hello, Jesus Christ. Like, I really wish I bought more when it was $60 when it went down right after Gary Gensler's little letter, right when Bodagos came out. That was right when Bodagos came out. That letter is what prompted Robinhood to delist Solana or remove Solana as an option for people to buy on the Robinhood crypto platform. And that happened on the day Bodagos came out just over a year ago last year. Fucking crazy where we're at now compared to them. We got Trump endorsing crypto, speaking at the Bitcoin conference later this month. Last year, the headline speaker at the Bitcoin conference was Michael Saylor. Nobody knows who Michael Saylor is outside of crypto because MicroStrategy obviously was a long-standing publicly traded company. Obviously, Michael Saylor was successful. He went to MIT and studied literal rocket science, like, aeronautical engineering. But in the scope of the world, nobody fucking knows who Michael Saylor was. I did not know who Michael Saylor was before he started buying Bitcoin. And quite frankly, I don't think any Bitcoiner did. That's like if you just threw a dart at the top 500 publicly traded companies in the United States and ask somebody, name the CEO of that random ass company. You don't know every single publicly traded company CEO. And now we have Donald Trump as the headline speaker, literally the most well-known human being on the planet, right after he almost got assassinated in front of everybody. Like, this is some crazy shit. And he just picked his running mate to be a wicked crypto guy that's like a San Francisco tech crypto bull. So wild shit right now compared to where we were at. Moving on to Polymarket, my favorite company right now in crypto. News broke yesterday that Joe Biden tested positive for COVID. Earlier in the day, Biden, dude, like, are you kidding me with this whole, like, I would drop out if there was a health issue. And then later in the day, it's like, yo, I got COVID, dog. Like, that is insane. That's like if I got to go to somebody's wedding and I'm like, I'll go to the wedding as long as, like I look at the weather, as long as it doesn't snow, I'll come to the wedding when I know it's about to snow. And I'm like, oh, it's snowing, dude. I wish I could come, but I can't come now. It's fucking crazy. Let's pull up the Polymarket odds on Joe Biden and figure out if this is still a buy. It was definitely a buy yesterday, but it's like an extra buy now. Let's talk through this. I got to pee. I'll be right back. You guys can run.
So there's now a 66% chance he drops out of the presidential race. As of yesterday, again, 34 cents. You could have made a 2x basically, which is insane in such a short period of time. I'm surprised it even got that low. I think it was just because he was being so stubborn. He was like, no, I'm not dropping out. I'm not dropping out. But now the news was coming out yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw this, that now all of his advisors are saying like, hey, dude, it's time. Like,
well, did you have the California? I don't know any of you guys' names, like your politicians outside of the big names.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin, thank you. So you got one of the largest states, one of the most powerful Democratic leaders within that state, saying that he doesn't really like Biden that much. I thought that was just wild coming out of California, considering like the power it has in the elections. So like by now, it just feels like, oh man, to be a Democrat, you really feel like you're losing here. And for me, the next question is, if they choose Kamala Harris, what are the odds for Kamala that she will become the VP and that she can win That's what I'm interested in, because who else would they choose?
That's a tough part. I like the other bet. So there's a field for other for Democratic nominees. There's some speculation that Whitmer might get it, but I think because you basically are betting the field, that's the best risk return that you have. It's about 7 cents right now. So if there's any rumblings of anybody that's not Kamala Harris, because Michelle Obama at 4 cents is crazy. Like that to me is ludicrous. I think Gavin Newsom is at 3 cents is a better bet, but a lot of people are anti-Newsom after like what's been happening in California, both financially and socially there. So there's a lot of like pushback on Newsom, which I don't think he has a solid chance. I think the other bet is the best risk profile that you can take here. Because if any sort of rumblings start to come out that Kamala Harris won't be the nom, you're going to see others surge, probably like 20 cents. So you'll get like almost a 3x, right? Where that's probably the most interesting bet I would take on this. Seeing Kamala Harris at 50 is like terrible risk return at this. You make 50 cents, sure, a 2x if that is the case. But other doesn't even need to get above 21 cents for you to make the 3x. So I'm like, that is like really good odds for basically any news to have even a rumor that could push it. So you're basically betting on the rumor mill, which if you know US media, they run with that shit. They love the rumor mill.
Listen to Easy's brain, his like, long-standing experience in trading assets, process a Polymarket bet on the fucking next president of the United States. I mean, who the fuck else could identify like, others got a way better risk return? I agree. I fucking agree.
It's just like simply put, it doesn't have to win. It does not have to win.
Exactly.
You're simply betting. You're risking 7 cents to make 14. Like that's the thing. Yeah, like a 2x is great in traditional markets. A 2x in crypto is a bad trade for many people, which is hilarious.
Where does Polymarket have Trump for winning president then?
It's like 67, I think.
65.
Yeah,
65.
So
which
yesterday it
feels,
bumped to 70, 72.
But Easy, with your other then, this feels a little bit like if we were to go with your trade, 65 still feels pretty underpriced because I mean, Kamala feels like she would lose against Trump, and then other,
100%.
We don't even know who other is. So 65% all of a sudden feels like, well, he's pretty much that. Like now, maybe there's an 80% chance that he wins. So I feel like this could be underpriced versus other.
But that's also the same bet too. Yeah, that's underpriced, but you're looking at about a 35-cent run on it, so you're looking at a 50% gain versus a 2x. Like that's still very low in comparison. What's even more interesting though is the other bet on president, because that's at 4 cents. So if other starts trending up for Democratic nom, then other will also start trending up for presidential winner here. So if other goes to 21 cents, the likelihood of this going to 15, 16% is pretty high. Like that's where I'm like, you start to analyze a couple of these key things here, and you could probably get a 4x if an other candidate does get the lead for the Democratic nom. Like that's the thing, because if Kamala's at 18 and she doesn't get the nom, you're going to see others surge because the likelihood of Newsom's very low, in my opinion, at this point. The likelihood of Michelle Obama's 0, in my opinion. That's crazy to me that those odds are so high.
Agreed.
I think the other bet for presidential winner is underpriced comparatively. And the risk is 4 cents. So the risk is so low on that.
So real quickly, I was just going to say, Sig. Oh, go ahead, Sig. Go ahead.
Just got one question. Why is Michelle even... Like I'm interested, like why is she not in other, for example? Like why is she even at 4% for a potential vote?
Because people think that she might be fucking the person.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation because of Obama's win back-to-back times that it'll still be in the family and that the Obama family still has a heavy hand in what's going on in politics right now with the Biden administration. So a lot of the speculation is on the back of that they'll put and slot Michelle in because of the success that Barack had. And that's where a lot of it's coming from, is that it'll be like the pseudo bet on this simply because Barack still has positive view in the limelight. And so if you continue to inject the family in that situation, the likelihood from a social sentiment would be much more supported purely off of the back of the successful presidency that Barack had.
Signal, I think this was also when they made this bet. So I think this was back in January when they first started this. I don't think you can change it, which is why they added other and then in parentheses whoever Whitmore in that.
Yeah, Whitmer's the big one because that's the one that a lot of people are speculating on, is that Whitmer, and that's why it says including Whitmer, because a lot of people weren't sure.
That's the fucking bet right there.
Yeah,
Wow.
Whitmer's like the dark horse. I've been actually seeing a decent amount on the timeline. I have one person who's
just pumped. Easy, you're pumping.
Yeah.
No, I'm placing another bet, 1,000%.
I have a friend who has about 150 grand on this.
People in the audience, don't fucking buy other. If you buy other right now, don't fucking do it. Like, literally don't do it. I'm going to block that trade. I'm going to get in touch with Polymarket, and they're not taking your bets, okay? I know the bookie at Polymarket. It's not happening, okay? I'm betting other, including Whitmer right there, might as well say you're going to make money if you buy this thing. Literally, that's what they're saying.
This is one you almost have to watch, Pio, because if this surges to
you do have to watch it.
If this goes to 18 cents, that's the one where I'm like, yeah, I would take the profit off the table. Like, I'm not looking for this to go. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not looking for this to just go parabolic, this 50% chance. Like, I don't think that's feasible. I feel significantly better about this getting up towards 20 cents and scaling out on a run. Like, that's where my head's at.
I'm taking the 2x. I'm not retarded like you, Easy. I'm going to take the 2x.
Yeah, no, spot on. You want to scroll down a little bit? I want to see something here. Can you open up the order book?
Oh, on other.
Yeah, hit the order book top left by graph.
Yeah, let's see what the assholes in the audience are buying right now.
So if you look at the sales here, 7 cents, there's not a lot of capital on it, which is the concern. Like, basically, if you throw $300 in it, you're pushing the price up to 7.5 cents. And the bids are pretty low. That spread is decent at this price. Like, I would probably put bids in at 6 cents and hope somebody dumps their shares into me.
Or we just pump this thing.
Yeah, or we just absolutely pump and dump the shit out of prediction markets.
We pump it so much that the news outlets start reporting on it.
They start saying Whitmer's the dark horse winner already, and it sends it to 40 cents. Like, just some absolutely asinine move here.
If you want to do something interesting, that is fucking interesting.
If
way
you
more
throw
interesting.
5K at this dude, this is going to 10 cents. That's the thing. Like, a $5,000 bet on this literally almost 2x's it right now. Like, the liquidity is so thin on this, and that's what I find the most interesting about Polymarkets right now is you have to look at this stuff from like a liquidity standpoint and where volume's moving. If volume starts surging on this and we start seeing more buy pressure, you're going to start seeing bids flow in and basically stabilize the downside pressure, which once again creates the best risk return profile you could have in a market right now. Like, that's where my head is if you come in with a 5K bid, you're going to send that spread to like 3 or 4 cents. And you're going to have backfill come in on the bid side for people just establishing a base. Like, these markets are wicked interesting, and I've been spending more time since Kicks won't leave me alone about it. I haven't deployed any capital on it. The one thing I want to deploy capital on is the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce engagement. That's it.
Okay, so hold on. We're gonna get to all right. We're gonna get to that in a second. We got 9 minutes to run with this.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very
interesting.
So a couple thing, guys. So check it out. So some folks in the audience are suggesting that this is confusing, and I understand why. I think the main concept to understand is to have a winning trade via a Polymarket bet. It doesn't mean that the thing that you're betting on comes true. That's the one thing that should be mentioned. So when we say other, including Whitmore, the best bet ever, you're not saying that you actually think that someone other than the other choices here, like Michelle Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, etc., or Whitmore himself, is going to be the actual nominee. What you're betting on is you're essentially betting on people thinking that might be the case even for 1 minute between now and the election, right? Meaning, some media outlet decides one day that they need a fucking story because that's how media works, and they need something that'll get clicks and views. And so this pumps from 6% to 13%. Let's say Joe Biden has another COVID tweet. Like, basically, I wasn't going to take the Joe Biden dropping out bet, but that COVID tweet inspires me to take it because it just feels so, quite frankly, weird and dumb that this is like the thing that's going down right now. So I'm like, well, maybe they are angling to have this guy pulled, because that is like a weird random thing to drop right after he said I would drop out due to illness. Like, that is just so on the nose to me. So that's why the other bet is interesting, because it's only at 6%. And like Easy pointed out, it could go to 12%. And Easy pointed out all the kind of detail regarding the liquidity and how much 5,000 could move that percentage. That's kind of my slowed down version. If anyone else has questions, pop them in the comments. Secondly, I think it's fucking hilarious if a crypto podcast like ours and the audience that listens to this podcast actually pumped a Polymarket odd on a presidential candidate to the point that a major media outlet covered it. That to me is the funniest fucking thing on the planet. And quite frankly, I'm always like, no, don't talk about assets that you own. Like, don't try to inspire the audience to talk about assets. It's not like a thing, because so many quote crypto influencers do that excessively, including the biggest ones, like the biggest names in the kind of game, literally do exactly that. And they also do undisclosed partnerships with people and then pump the assets and get paid in the assets. And that's their favorite fucking thing to do ever. But in this one circumstance, if people want to go plow money into other and have major media outlets reporting that it seems like Polymarket's pricing in someone else being the president, that's the funniest fucking thing to me ever. And I fully back that.
The fact that Easy is influencing the presidential election, something is wrong with the universe. Like, something is wrong. Easy. Does anyone else feel weird that we're like choosing the president of the United States just from, the comfort of our chairs, and Easy in a yellow hoodie is just like, yeah, I'm going to influence the outcome of the election. No, but actually, I'm kidding. But Pio, this is so much more fun than, I know I bought the Karma meme coin, but I am still massively underwater on that. But I think that like doing a bet like this is so much more fun than trying to pick a meme coin for this, and then trying to pick let's say it's not Kamala Harris and it is somebody from other, and we don't know who that person is, trying to figure out which will be the token that will run and become that, like, and will represent that candidate in a race. I know personally I'm not going to get it. Maybe Easy will get it, but I find that much, much harder than just coming here and being able to place a bet. Because here it's just like, put your thinking brain on, figure out, what you think is going to happen. And if I'm right, I'm right. Perfect.
Yeah. So
there's just too many intangibles on the meme coins. Like, there's way too much utility risk.
Yeah. It's so different than this. This is like placing a bet in Vegas with a casino on a boxing match. Whereas like the meme coin, you're kind of at the whim of crypto psychopaths. Like, it's just different. I know, the meme coin, I get it. It can absolutely go up. And I think the Trump meme coin is probably so real quick. So is the Trump meme coin not going to pump if he gets elected? Easy. You're muted.
I think the Trump meme coin basically goes to zero once he's elected.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because there's no more speculation. Like, that's the thing. Meme coins are a speculative market. Like, that's it. You're betting. And even now, like, look at that run up in the end of June. Like, that's the thing. And right there, you can actually literally see where that spike happened after the assassination attempt. It's still in a downtrend. Like, that chart, first thing I see is it's still in an aggressive downtrend. And I don't think that flips, because right now the market's already basically pricing in a Trump win. And I would much rather play on Polymarkets, where it's a hyper liquid market at the moment with a set conclusion date if it happens, and a payout structure. Like, that's way more interesting to me versus a meme coin that, like, you're subject to the whales of that meme coin to dump at any time and just completely slaughter your position.
And also easy as well. Like, and to your point, people, like, I want to be able to express a view and be right. I don't want to express a view, based off news that I'm reading, based off what I'm seeing on Twitter, figure out, like, let's just say I miraculously figure out who it's going to be. It's not Kamala, and I figure out who it's going to be, and it's on Polymarket. I want to be able to express that trade, and I don't want to have to do it through meme coins, because I could be right and still be wrong in a meme coin market. But here I can be right, I can express it, and then I can take my profit. So, we'll see how this goes. I'm not saying that other is like we're not saying that obviously other is the trade to do, but I think it's way more interesting to express a trade view through this than it is to do it on the meme coin market, because my Karma token is still down. And given like COVID, I would have thought that would have like run up so much more, given it's quite obvious that right now he's going to drop out. Fingers crossed for tomorrow.
Sig, it's like, the meme coin, it's just the traditional crypto degen market. This is like an actual structured betting platform. I've never talked to someone from Polymarket. I don't know if that's how they would describe themselves or would want their platform described, but this is just similar to Vegas. Easy, you're muted.
It's a predictions market. It's a predictions market. Like, I wouldn't call it a betting platform. Prediction markets have existed forever. Literally forever. Most of them, if not all of them, not US based. But the thing I look at here is just like, you're placing a prediction. Like, that's it. It's like a futures bet on sports. Like, I think this team will win 4 games, which is like, there's a lot of intangibles that go into it. There's a lot of factors that play into it. But the thing I like, to your point, Sig, is there's less of liquidity risk on this because there's a finite result that can conclude. And that's the thing that's the most interesting to me. Like, we get to a certain date and you can either win or lose. There's a yes or no answer at the end of it. And that, to me, is like significantly more beneficial to a bag than a meme coin where you can have one whale dump $60,000 worth and just kill a position, even if it's the right play.
And
Yeah,
the other thing,
sorry, just to add, Clemente, also as well, I know it's gonna sound like a, like a really small point, but it's also the marketing as well. Like, Greenie in the comments is saying, yes, it's like Betfair. When I go on the Betfair website, I feel like I'm walking into one of those like bet shops you see in those low income areas, and the guy's smoking a cigarette. It's 2 p.m. in the day when he should be working, but he's not, and he's like scratching lottery tickets. That's what Betfair website feels like to me. And I would never, ever, ever put the time in to do the KYC, sign up, blah, 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 to go through all of that. But Polymarket just feels, I don't know, it just feels a lot cleaner. The UI is nicer. When you see like Taylor Swift being engaged as like one of the possible outcomes, I'm like, yeah, I want to go on that website. I want to give that website that money. So, some of these betting platforms, which, okay, betting, prediction, maybe you can interchange those words, but some of these prediction market websites feel really gritty, like back alley gritty. And maybe that suits some people, but personally for me, I don't really want to spend my time KYCing on those kind of websites.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And plus, the access to those websites is limited by your jurisdiction. Even if you use a VPN, you might not be able to offboard your funds. There's layers with that, man. It's not crypto. It's not a global. It's just not a global layer on top of the internet. Look, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, today's show is brought to you in partnership with Tensor. That is the leading Solana marketplace for pro traders. You've heard us talk about Tensor before. It's the only platform that I use when it comes to all things that have to do with Solana NFTs. They are launching a streaming series today that we help them out with, and their first guest is our very own Easy. So that stream starts in 2 hours on the nose at 12 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to pin it to the Twitter space. Make sure that you tune in later today. Easy's going to tell essentially his coming of age in trading story, going up to 600K a few years back in crypto and other markets. And, we'll see what the results of that story are. You don't want to miss it. I've heard the story before. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, that's our show. So big shout out to Tensor. Go to tensor.trade. You'll see us talking to them more and more. That streaming series is going to be an ongoing thing. And like I said, that we helped them out with it. So, it's going to be very polished and professional. This show happens Monday through Friday. So we'll go tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll close the week out. Happens every single week. It's available on every single podcasting platform, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, or wherever. It's also available on YouTube if you want the video stream. That's you go to the Daily Bone podcast or Bodago's Entertainment on YouTube. If you search for the Nifty, it's going to come up too. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. On Twitter, obviously, you can listen on Twitter Spaces. Make sure that you like the tweet, retweet it, show us some support, give us a comment. It's also available on X Platform Video if you actually want to watch the video on Twitter. If you catch up with the show after the fact, I recommend the podcasting platforms because it's a really easy way to listen to the show on the go. Clemente, a lot of really great meat on the bone in this call sheet. I think that we should just take all this stuff and talk about it tomorrow. That segment with the guessing criminals, the meme coins and the new altcoins, and also Mark Cuban, the TradFi stuff. All this stuff's really good. We should move it to tomorrow. Jamie Dimon, all that stuff too. Basically, I view tomorrow's call sheet as pretty much done. So anyway, everybody, thanks for listening. Clemente, I'll let you wrap up with some tunes. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back.